Hey everyone, I am the Chosen One Legend here, as always joined by my co-host.
Hi, I'm Kai, also known as Vascarine.
And welcome back to the BunchaJokahs podcast, where we are once again doing a console retrospective, probably our final one, and this time, we're looking at the Nintendo DS. What a console, right Kai?
Yeah, I was just mentioning to you before we started recording that out of all of the consoles we've done, even including the Wii, this one has my longest list purely because like the DS had such a wide variety of games that they couldn't really fit into genres very easily. So this will
Yeah,
be a big one for how many just like good games there are.
I mean, as far as I'm aware, it is Nintendo's greatest selling console of all time, and the second best selling console just behind the PS2, so there's definitely a lot of games on it, as you would imagine. And we'll just go over some highlights, some of our memories of the system, and different functions the system had as well. And it should be good. Now, there will be timestamps in the description below, so if you want to hop about between different games and sections, you can do that. But if you're ready, Kai, without further ado, we'll get started.
Yeah, let's do it.
In fact, actually, Kai, why don't you start us off here as usual? When did you get your DS? What's your early memories of the console?
Oof. Well, admittedly, I don't know when I got my first DS because I was very young.
We're going back now.
Yeah, it was younger than I can really remember, so I don't remember the date. But I do know I got like I think it was one of the first makes. I got like a grey DS. It was quite clunky.
Oh yeah, the old chunky one.
Yeah. I got one of those, and the only game I remember playing on it is what's it called? Mario Kart DS. That's all I can
Of
really
course.
remember. But and I was really bad at it at first, but I'm pretty sure like that was potentially the first console I owned. Like, of course there was the Wii too, but you know everyone kind of uses the Wii because it's a family console. But
Yeah.
the DS might have been the first console I properly owned and used as my own thing. So that's all I can really remember, to be honest. Since then I've got another red 3DS and then also two 3DSs, and that's about it. What about you?
Yeah, I'm actually quite similarly to you. I don't remember exactly when I first got it, and I'm a little bit older than you, so I did also had the Game Boy Advance SP. I did play before that. I don't
Right.
have enough memories of that to do a video on. I only had like Shark Tale on it, which great game as you can imagine.
I didn't know that's a thing.
Yeah, Shark Tale the game with your nice
Oh,
pixelated
that's
fish,
brilliant.
but yeah. So I don't remember exactly when I transferred over to the DS, but it was just one of those things that everyone sort of had, like the Wii. You know, it was along that sort of golden era
Yeah.
of Nintendo coming back after the GameCube and Game Boy Advance were a little bit lower lower compared to the competition success wise,
Mhm.
and you know, much like the Wii when we did that retrospective, it is kind of the console that I sort of got more into Nintendo as I played it and stopped playing just crappy movie tie-in games and started playing some of the greats. So you know, I started off with games like you, a few classics like Mario Kart and Animal Crossing, and as the years went by, I moved on to eventually pick up games like Zelda and that. And most of the games on this list, I actually played on the 3DS, not my original DS, because
Okay.
it was only later in life that I started to look back on the great DS games I missed. But
Fair play.
looking at it from that perspective, I probably spent the most DS games have probably taken up the most of my life with how much they've spread across several years. Because I was playing on them from the early DS days all the way up to like the Wii U days. So
Yeah.
there's a lot, like you said, there's a lot of games. So we better get started on some.
Yeah. I mean, to
And
be fair, I still use my. I mean, I'm using it right now. I'm not even kidding.
yeah,
I've been using it to play to get 3DS technically, but you know, it's still an extension. You get what I mean? It's really cool like how long it's still lasted.
and I think if we're going to go back to the start, now this isn't technically a game, but one of the peak qualities of the Nintendo DS,
Oh yeah.
Pictochat.
Yeah. You
Pictochat
know
was
it.
dope.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So I remember back when I was younger, my sister used to do a sport where you know you go to competitions in like halls and that sort of thing, and I would
Yeah.
always get dragged along. And in this hall, I would sit there, like, it was just for a week every year, I would sit in this hall with my DS, and occasionally I'd just sit on Pictochat, and there were always like 5 or 6 other people there in the room of it, and they were like, wave if you read this and things like that, and it's just like, man, that was peak socialising for me. It's been downhill ever since, but man, it was so good when we used to be able to do that.
Yeah, nothing else quite captures the joy of Pictochat. I still remember when I was in year 6, so for any American people, that's sort of age 10 to 11, and we were on a school trip to France, and we were all on the coach, and everyone was just on Pictochat, filling up every single room that was available. We were just filling it until someone drew something inappropriate, and we were made to stop, such as Pictochat. but it was good fun, and it's one of those things where it obviously serves no purpose now that everyone has phones. So it's
right, yeah.
There's no purpose for Pictochat now, but I do like that it lives on in the Smash stage, because that's a fun stage, and
it's a really fun one, yeah.
Yeah, the fact that they took something like Pictochat and made it into a stage it's cool that it has that legacy still.
Yeah.
But let's get to some actual games now. Kai, what's the first game for you? What's one of your favourites?
What should we go with?
Decisions.
I'm gonna start with. Okay. I'll start with this one. It's a 4 games in one. Let's call it. I'm gonna talk about the DS Layton games really briefly. So the first 4 Layton games, which were Curious Village, Diabolical Box, Lost Future, and Spectre's Call.
Depending where you're from.
Yeah, depending where you're from, they're the best titles I've chosen. They were all on the DS. And I've done I did a bit of reading a while back on like the history of the first game and that sort of thing. But it's really interesting sort of, how they incorporate the DS features into it in some levels. Overall, it was just like it was a really accessible game in a sense, because it felt like a game that not only like true gamers, we'll call it, with a free would play. It's like, it was a puzzle game with a story. Yeah. Anyone could pick up and play the puzzles, but it's such like an ingenious series, and a lot of people would consider the first trilogy, so the first 3 games, to be better. Of course, like there's mixed opinions on that, but generally people say that those DS games were indeed the better ones. And I had a blast playing them. I played all of them ones, and it's just a great time.
I think it's definitely true what you said about like the casual aspect, because it's the kind of game that parents or grandparents would even play. You hear stories of, and I still remember like one of my friends. Of course, I was, as with a lot of people at that era, your friends all sort of like PlayStation's better. It's a more hardcore audience. But even one of my friends like that was like, "Oh, I want to get a 3DS because it's got the new Layton games on it." So I think it really did reach everyone, and I played Layton eventually over the years, and I've sort of been doing a slow replay. I probably mentioned it on the podcast. I did Pandora's Box or Diabolical Box earlier this year, and they're just really solid, fun games. And it's a shame that the series is kind of dead now, for whatever reason. But those games are always classic.
It's because I think, ironically enough, the main guy who did the puzzles, he died back in 2016.
Right,
so because of that, that's why the quality dropped so quickly after that, because like him and his whole team just kind of stopped happening. But I mean, the DS stuff was like really sort of prime Layton brilliance, really. It was, and
even
good.
if we never get another game, it had a great run overall. And just port them to the Switch like he did with Phoenix Wright, Just please.
Yeah, I'd love to see that collection. I feel like if it wasn't accessible enough at the time anyway, it'd be great if it was accessible once again.
Definitely. But speaking of games that sort of have a nice casual audience, I'm going to talk with probably the most casual game on this list, arguably, Nintendogs. Did you play Nintendogs, Kai?
Yes, I did. Who didn't? Nintendogs early on. Man, that was one I've not played since I was much younger, though. So I'm trying to remember. I remember I had a golden retriever on there, and apart from that, I think I took it for walks and did some frisbee stuff. Maybe. Apart from that, I don't really remember. But it's iconic nonetheless.
It was definitely one of the games that put the DS on the map in the sense that made everyone want to get it. It almost did
Yeah.
like what Animal Crossing did for the Switch in a sense, I think. Of course,
Yeah.
Animal Crossing was on DS, which we'll get to later. But so it was one of those games, and of course people would buy the different versions of it for the different dogs. We only had one version, and it was more my sister's, but I would definitely just sit down for a chill evening and just start walking this virtual dog. Which, you know, I've got a dog now, and it's much more hassle walking an actual dog, that's for sure. So there's something special about the DS game.
You just walk into like game and you just go, "Can I trade this dog for a cartridge of Nintendogs?" Oh no.
I can give you store credit, would that count? Yeah, sure, why not? But
Oh.
the DS had a lot of those, and the one I want to quickly mention whilst we're here is also Brain Training, because that was
Yes.
another one of those games, and I mean, it's in an episode of Inbetweeners, for goodness sake. It's everywhere, Brain Training.
Yeah, it's great.
And they're actually, it came to the Switch recently as well, so the series is still going. But even if it often registered me as a 40-year-old man, I still enjoyed my time with it.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Honestly, I felt like it insulted me a lot of the time, but
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. You know, I'll let it pass this time.
Sometimes you need to be put in your place by a game, right? So
Brain training.
that's what it's for. What game have you got for us, Kai?
Let's go for. I'm going to talk about a couple because they're made by the same group. Rhythm Paradise on the DS, as well as WarioWare DIY and WarioWare Touched. So all of those are made by the same group. I forget the name of them. Good, but you know, you can tell that they're similar because of the art style. And I thought it's on topic because WarioWare Get It Together recently released.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, so I never played WarioWare Touched, but I did play DIY. And honestly, I thought that DIY is legitimately one of the most creative games on the DS. Period. Like the whole purpose of it was a way to make your own WarioWare microgames. It was a creator, and if 11-year-old me could understand how to use it, then yeah, it was brilliant. Like it was such a great idea, and they had some like pre-built ones. They had lessons. Overall, it was just a brilliant designer for making WarioWare microgames. So
Yeah, I never played much. I think I played one of them, and it might have been Touched actually. But honestly, WarioWare is one of them series where all the games I've played sort of blend together for me in a way, because it's just utter crazy. Except Wii, because who could forget the different motions it makes you do with the Wii remote?
Smooth moves is crazy, yeah.
Yeah, but the DS, all WarioWare is good, so it was great on the. Either way, it's a fun series, and Rhythm Paradise, which I think is what it's called here.
Yes.
I did play that, and although I think I would prefer to try out some of the console ones eventually, because I think button controls just work better for a series about precision, the touch controls can be a bit iffy sometimes. It's still such a charming game, and some of the wacky stuff they do with it, and how jamming the music is. It's just a bop. You gotta get headphones for that game.
Yeah, overall for that like set, it's just always brilliant music and brilliant characters. Like non-stop, even if they're only in the game for 5 minutes, they're still like, this is such a cool little quirky character in here.
They managed to do a lot
I
with
see
so
what you mean
little.
about not the motion controls, the touchpad. Some games worked really well. Others, Rhythm Rally, didn't.
Yeah.
But some of them worked alright, but yeah, it wasn't all the time. But I still like that they tried it at the very least. It was a really good way to like boost the series' popularity.
Yeah, it's the only Rhythm Heaven game I've played, and it definitely makes me want to try out the rest of the series. So if I see the Wii game in like CEX for like 10 quid, I'm buying it.
Yeah, there is even one on the 3DS, which kind of has like the best of, in a sense. So
yeah. Switch version when? I think we're gonna hear that a lot for this video, but Switch version when?
yes, exactly.
And I'm just gonna go for probably the biggest game now, which of course, Mario Kart DS. That was the one that everyone played. If it's the kind of one that was perfect for, especially with download play, which was a big thing with the DS, so you could play it with people who didn't even own the game. You had to play as a shy guy, but you know, shy guys are cool, that's fine. And not only is it just a good Mario Kart game, as Mario Kart's always fun, it has so many things the others don't. Like, the ability to customize your pattern on your car was really cool.
Yep.
Mission mode, I mean, that was so
Mission
much
mode.
fun.
Why has it not been brought back? It is like one of the
I
best
know.
features it's ever had.
It would have been great to like add it in like deluxe or something, but
the boss battles as well, like that were
Yeah.
in mission mode. So many great ideas were in Mario Kart DS that they never brought back for some reason. I don't get it.
yeah, there's so many great. I remember the cake stage in battle mode. I used to love that one.
Yeah.
There's just it's got so much uniqueness to it, in the way that some of the other Mario Karts since don't really. I think sort of like Wii, 3DS, Mario Kart 8 all sort of blend together a bit more. But
Yeah.
DS definitely has its own place. I'm sad that I've lost my copy. If I still have it, it's somewhere in the depths of my house in some hidden away spot. But it's the only Mario Kart game. Yeah, it's just. I feel like I've got not much reason to go back to 3DS or Wii, but there's a reason to go back to DS because it's so unique.
Yeah, Mario Kart 7 kind of sucked.
It's a fun Mario Kart game. It's not got much personality.
It's fun to do the races, but yeah, it's like, honeybee, why? Anyway, with Mario Kart DS, I do have a very gratifying story. I may have told you before, but my most vivid memory of this is I was in primary school, and I think occasionally, like once every couple years, they had a day where you could basically bring in your DSs, and like half the day was spent where you could just like play those sorts of things in class.
Yeah.
And that was always like the best day of the year for everyone. And what we did is a huge group of us in my class brought in our DSs to play Mario Kart, and of course with download play, which is a brilliant idea. I'll talk a bit about more on that in a minute. But there were like, I think there were like 12 or 15 of us that had all got our DSs ready to play, and we wanted to do like a big competition. So we were like, okay, split into two different lobbies, and the top half from each lobby go into like a finals. So I remember doing that. I got like second or third in my group stage, but of course I still qualified, and then I ended up winning the finals, like in the Grand Prix. And nothing has felt better since, to be honest. That was just, I think all of my my serotonin just burst at that point. Because that was glorious.
People point to a lot of like landmarks in their lives, getting married, having kids, but I don't think anything would ever top that moment there. It
just felt great. Like I was like 10, maybe 9. Oh, it just felt amazing. But anyway, yeah, like download play is
so
just
good.
Great. I think they've done something similar with like the PS4 and 5, haven't they, with the sharing download play. And everyone's like, this is such like a revolutionary thing. The DS already had done it as well. It's just they had some really great stuff in other games. Yeah, another game that I remember vividly having the download play as a thing is Mario Party DS.
Right.
Did you ever play that one?
I never owned it. I played it a few times with friends, and whilst I can't speak much to it, I loved the whole idea of like the shrinking aesthetic, how it had its own sort of story through that. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I played this a lot as a kid. It's actually I think it's one of my most played original DS games from when I was younger. I could never beat the story mode at first. Like for the first like 3 or 4 years I had the game, I couldn't beat the story mode because I couldn't beat the Piranha Plant because I'm really bad at button mashing.
You can take your rage out at him in Smash nowadays, Vokai. It's okay.
Yeah, I can. But I remember playing the minigame battles were the main thing against other people, and just playing like all the mini games against people, the custom ones, especially the ones that were also in Mario 64 DS. Like the Yoshi Snowball fight, I remember, is a good one, and the trampolines and all that. Like there were so many good like battle mini games and that sort of thing that were in Mario Party DS and 64, and I really enjoyed doing those as a kid, but I haven't really done them recently.
DS was like the mini game era, and speaking of that, did you play Mario 64 DS?
Yes, I've completed that game again once when I was younger. Like these are all the ones I played really early on. I remember completing that. I remember going into the multiplayer matches as well, and that was always fun. It Yeah, 64
Yeah.
was a great sort of addition to the original game. I just think it did a great job at expanding.
Yeah. It's quite. I think overall, I played 64 DS. Was actually the first one I played. I
Oh
think
yeah.
I prefer the original just for being a bit of a tighter experience. I think
Oh yeah, I'm with you on that. I think the original's
it's got a bit
better.
of
This is
yeah, it's got a bit of
nice.
excess fat, but it's a nice. It's still nice as a different version, and being able to like play as Yoshi and Luigi and Wario is. It's just that people thought Luigi was in 64 back in the day. Finally came true on the DS, so there you go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a really enjoyable like addition. Again, I think the original is definitely better, but it's one of those things where this version doesn't feel bad. It's just
No,
like
it's not a
this is a nice edit. It's a nice bonus on top of it.
alternative.
Yeah, so it was always good. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
What other games have you got for us, Kai?
Let's carry on with the Mario grind for now, just briefly.
Oh yeah.
New Super Mario Bros. Just the original, not Wii, not U, not Luigi or whatever. It's just
Luigi
New Super
U.
Mario Bros. The original, the OG, the day one.
It's a classic. I never actually owned it. I only borrowed it from a friend and beat it that way. But it is good fun.
Yeah, that was once again one of my earliest ones, and that was just a bundle of fun. Being able to play through a traditional Mario game essentially. But then once again, the download play on the game was phenomenal. Doing the Mario
Yeah.
versus Luigi, oh, it was so much fun. I think that's some of the most fun I've ever had playing on the DS is versus mode, Mario versus Luigi.
Absolutely.
You get the Mega Mushroom in the pipe arena, and they just lose all their stars.
It's over.
They're so screwed. Yeah, yeah, really satisfying game. I've got to say, like
Yeah.
the controls didn't feel there was nothing bad to feel about with the controls. It wasn't like exceptional, of course, but it was.
It's
good.
just a solid 2D Mario game, and I think it's easy to take for granted as we grew up with it, but there really hadn't been one for a while when that came out, so
Exactly, yeah. So
it's a nice return to form. And
Yeah.
okay, speaking of whilst we're talking about 2D platformers, I do actually have one here. I don't know if you played this at all, Kai, but Sonic Rush was
No, never played that.
yeah this was a game that I played quite a bit as a kid actually. I was never really a massive Sonic fan, but I had a few games, and it was just a fun, solid Sonic game. Because I think after like the original, people are very mixed on most of Sonic's entries. There's hit or miss is a generous way of putting it for the Sonic series as of recent. But I think people generally universally like Rush. It introduced Blaze, who was a pretty cool character before Sonic 06 probably ruined her, but and the way that it incorporates sort of classic 2D platforming sections with the speed of Sonic, and it honestly I tried to play it a few months back and I was really bad at it, so I don't know how my childhood self managed to actually beat this because I really sucked. But I think that's part of the fun of it is it's got a bit of a learning curve to it, but when you get the idea of how to move fast and you get to the rhythm of blasting through the stages, it's a lot of fun. And the soundtrack, as always of Sonic, absolutely bops, so definitely a nice Sonic gem in a troubled time.
Sounds good. I don't think I really played many Sonic games. I think the only Sonic game I really played on the DS was the DS version of Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, the original.
All right.
So
Do you want to talk
I don't
about
really
that
have
now?
much. I don't have much to say on it, but because I mainly played the Wii version. But
Yeah.
the DS version was good. You know, it is the main like way to run in a lot of games was by slamming the stylus side to side. So the screen probably
Just tearing
became
up your
scratched from
touchscreen,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, but they had some really good games on there. I remember Dream Race. I don't remember if that was in the Wii version.
I don't know if it was at that stage.
There was
no.
canoeing as well. That was another download play one you could do that I remember having fun with. Just once again, like really good download play and just overall like a really fun game I used to play. And it's one of those ones where if you, like all the others, where if you were to go back to it nowadays, you'd still have fun playing it for a couple of hours. Like it's not something where you just be like, nah, I'd rather play a different version of the game a lot of the time.
Yeah.
It's genuinely one you'd enjoy for a while. So, yeah, all good, really.
What else have you got, Kai? Any other games? I think you've got more than me, so I'm going to let you do a few.
Yeah. Let's see. What can I rush through quickly?
Sonic Rush through? Ha 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 ha.
Okay, one real quick. 42 all-time classics. There's 51 Clubhouse games made by the same people on Switch now. But 42 all-time classics was the reason I like the one on the Switch so much. There's a campaign mode in that version, if you didn't know.
Oh, really? I never even heard of this game until the Switch version, but it's cool that it's apparently quite good.
There were a lot of features that are quite notable. So there were a lot of different games, including, I think there were like sliding puzzles, a couple different card games, and they were really fun. I missed quite a few of them on the Switch version, to be honest. There was the campaign that was it was called Stamp Mode, where you had to play through every single game in an order, and if you won, you got more stamps than if you came like second or third or whatever. So you just had to keep on. If you came last or lost, you didn't get any stamps. So you had to be at least semi-decent at every single game in order to complete it. And I've beaten it on every difficulty a couple different times. It's like I generally just have like a day or two where I'll just go through the entire campaign because it takes around a day. So there was one more feature in that game that I think is really notable that not a lot of people know about. So we've mentioned Pictochat and the greats of that. This game also had download play, but it had like an improved version of Pictochat. It was the exact same functionality, the UI and everything was the same. The only difference is that you had stamps that you could do, unlocks through the stamp mode, I believe, like the stamp game mode. You had like multicoloured you could do, and like all these different combining colours. You had the stamps you could place down. It was just an improved Pictochat, and I feel like that goes very overlooked because, of course, why would people pay attention to it?
Yeah, the stamps kind of reminds me of like how Miiverse had stamps you could get through games.
Yeah, but it was just great. I was like, this is improved Pictochat. Why is the original not like this? So that was always good to see.
Yeah, I guess I'll give one here that is probably a bit more of a niche one. I don't know if you know this one, but it's a game called Super Scribblenauts, which
So I think I have that. I haven't got that in my list, but I've played that before.
It's the one where you have to. I think there's a few Scribblenauts games, so I think there's one before this, but this is the one that I had, and it's where you have to type something in and it appears in the game, and it's essentially a puzzle game where
I've got that.
Yeah, it's a really really fun game. I used to play it a lot as a kid, and I later got like a mobile game which I used to play in the sixth form common room, and I've been tempted in the past to get the Switch versions when it's been on sale. I've never quite done it yet, but it's just. I love sort of creative stuff. I mean, you know that I enjoy like writing and stuff. So the fact that you have this game where you can solve puzzles just with whatever you think of. There's a tree blocking your way. I want to draw a chainsaw and let's cut the thing down. I want to draw a torch and burn it down. Or I'm going to make an elephant appear and ram it. That's not an actual reference to a puzzle necessarily. I don't remember them specifically, but that's the kind of creativity that was on play in the game. With how you could go about things whichever way you like and just create the weirdest things, and that kind of creativity was a lot of fun to me as a kid. And again, still as an adult, when I played it in the sixth form common room, I would actually have anyone who was with me in that 3 periods would join in with me playing it because it's just addictive.
Yeah, it's just one of those ones where you can do that. Just be like, hey, give me like a noun.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
Not that one. That one won't work in the game. Give me another one.
It's got its quirks to it, but it is a lot of fun. So I do want to pick up the Switch version at one point because it's just a great series.
Yeah, may as well.
What else have you got, Kai?
Here's one we can both talk about. I probably. Let's talk about some of the other Zelda games on the DS.
Oh, no, I don't play Zelda, Kai. No, sorry.
Oh, okay, fair play.
Yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. It's a good thing it's not in our logo or anything.
Oh, thank goodness for that.
I guess you call it a duology, but Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks.
Yeah, great games.
Two that are both on the DS. I never played Phantom Hourglass, did you?
I did, yeah. Phantom Hourglass is... I guess I'll talk about that a bit now. I do think Spirit Tracks is the better game. I'll just preface that now. But I like what Phantom Hourglass did. Not only was it the one that set up the DS style of play with how you use the touchscreen for certain items, like the boomerang, which is very unique. I can see why it turns some people off, but it was a great way to adapt the Zelda formula to a DS game. And it's introduced Linebeck, who is just one of the greatest characters in a Zelda game. He is so funny, and his theme tune is amazing. In general, Zelda games always have a good soundtrack, but Phantom Hourglass, not quite Spirit Track levels, but stuck with that. And while Spirit Tracks would go and improve upon a lot of the foundations it set, like, of course, Spirit Tracks took the Phantom Temple, whatever it was called, the Temple of the Ocean King, which is very obnoxious in the original. It drags a bit, and they made it better. They made it so you don't have to redo every floor every time you play it. But it still holds a special place, Phantom Hourglass. I have 100% completed it, which I haven't done for Spirit Tracks, so...
Okay.
It's still a lot of fun, but Spirit Tracks is better. I'll let you start off with your thoughts on that one, Kai.
On the contrary, I have actually 100%ed Spirit Tracks, and that's the only one I've
Nice.
It took a while, though, because all the gold train parts are...
That's what made me give up, yeah.
Yeah. But I remember I went back, I think it was like 2 years ago maybe now? Yeah, it must be 2 years ago.
I think we did it about the same time, actually.
Yeah. And just a great game. Like the train mechanic, I honestly quite liked. I thought it was quite fun. Shooting things was sometimes annoying, but sometimes
those damn rabbits.
Yeah, honestly. God, the rabbits I used to guide.
Yeah, don't blame you.
Yeah, but I enjoyed, the puzzles in the game were good, the items were good. I know a lot of people don't like, I can't remember what the instrument is in that game. The wind flute, is it?
Oh, the pan flute, yeah.
Pan flute, that's the one. I know a lot of people can't beat the game because of that, which I just find funny.
It's a little weird, but it's interesting.
Yeah, I managed to make it work. And just overall, like the dungeons are good, the train mechanic's good. Just overall, like a really solid Zelda game, to be honest. I think it's quite a good experience for people who have
genuinely
played many
it has
of the
the
other games
most
before.
Yeah, it has the most underrated soundtrack of any Zelda game, I think. There are so many bangers in it. Like
yes.
One I like is I think it's Into the Fields or In the Fields, which is sort of what plays on like the overworld. I might even use that now in the podcast actually in the background, but
is that like the one that everyone knows, the main Spirit Tracks theme, or
not the main theme? It plays not when you're on the train, but when you're walking out in sort of field areas.
Oh,
yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's just full of songs like that. It's so much fun, and of course one of the best versions of Zelda, who's a great companion character in the game. So it's definitely a highlight of the Zelda series. Needs more.
It was such a great idea to have Zelda be a companion without it being like actually Zelda in a sense.
Yeah, and I just want to mention, of course I won't spoil anything in case people haven't played it, but the entire ending of the game and the final boss is amazing. That entire section, like tonally as well as gameplay wise, is a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
But I'll move on to one that's another one that pretty much everyone played, and this is Animal Crossing Wild World. This game was huge. Of course, Animal Crossing, of course, existed.
I've never played it.
You've never played it?
No, I never played Wild World. I played New Leaf.
No. I'm disappointed. I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed in you. But you played New Leaf, which is technically better, so I'll let it slide.
Yeah.
But I mean, Wild World was just a lot of fun, and it's Animal Crossing. I don't think I can really say too much about it because Animal Crossing is always Animal Crossing. It doesn't have like the meh stuff of New Leaf. It doesn't have the customization of New Horizons. But if you've got some friends together, you build an island, well, not an island, but you get a house. You share your debt with each other because that's part of the morals of life, of course.
Yeah.
It was so much fun, and this was back when Rossetti was brutal. He was devious. I remember I played Animal Crossing. I was at like a little show I did with like my theatre class I went to.
Yeah.
And I played it in like the break before I had to go back on stage. I was playing it a bit too much and nearly missed my cue, so I sort of had to turn off the console, which I got the karma for because, of course, turning it back on, I was just blasted by Rossetti, and I think I actually ended up rage quitting the game because I couldn't get back into it. He was savage back then. He was honestly so savage, but it's really funny. So it's got its charms, the Wild World, and I probably wouldn't might not have gotten to the rest of them without it. So a lot of memories of it.
Yeah, definitely one of those ones I know I've heard a lot about. So yeah.
How about another
else?
game, Kai?
Okay, I'm not sure if you played these two games. Part of the Mario and Luigi series, Partners in Time and Bowser's Inside Story were the two DS games of that set.
I have played Partners in Time. I have played and beat that a long time ago, but that was a great game.
Yeah, it expanded upon Superstar Saga, had its own new plot. You had the babies, which kind of expanded
I like the
on
babies,
the gameplay.
yeah.
The babies were fun. I know I can understand how they might be annoying at times, but I feel like they didn't overdo it with making them.
No,
annoying.
yeah. I thought it was just quite cool
definitely
switching
could have
between
done.
4 of them. And
Yes, it definitely expanded the gameplay a lot
Yeah.
by having that. Especially I remember just with that was where they introduced sort of the double jump in the game, where you jump with Mario or Luigi, and then the baby version would be the second jump. The special bro attacks that you would have with the babies and that sort of thing. Just man, yeah, they had some really great concepts in that game.
just how terrifying the shroobs are. Those things are nightmare fuel.
Yeah, they were ugh, nightmares. Yeah.
But I never played Bowser's Inside Story, but it's one I really wanted to get, but just, being the kid who doesn't have enough money to buy every game he wants, I never got around to it. But
Right.
how was it? Because I've heard a lot of people say it's like the best one.
I would consider it. I've not played any of the other Mario and Luigi games, mind you, but I would consider it to be the best one, without a doubt. It was my favourite. Just using Bowser. If you thought the writing and the concepts of the babies were good, Bowser is just even better. Like, this is one of his best games. He was phenomenal. His attacks are interesting, how he's a bit clunkier and his attacks are slower, but he has his own Bowser attacks, like the special ones, that are really cool, because he uses minions, if you didn't know, in that game, to do his special attacks. Like the Goomba Brigade, the Shy Guys, the Kameks, all of that. But yeah, the story was brilliant. This is where Forfall really shined. You had a couple of other good characters like Midbus. Starlo is there, I guess. Toadsworth is in this one again, of course.
Of course.
Yeah, just overall, I really liked the concept of Bowser doing things in the overworld, and then Mario and Luigi inside his body, where it changes based on what you're doing with Bowser. The gameplay felt really clean. It's one of the games I've played through most, actually, just because the gameplay is so fun. It's just really quality, honestly. They've even got I think late into the game they even have side quests of sorts to do. There's loads of side content near the end of the game. It's one of those ones where the first half is just really fun and enjoyable in its concepts, and then in the second half of the game you're like, wait, this isn't linear anymore. This is really open. So yeah, just an absolute banger of a game.
The only character that can make it better would be if there was Queen Bee playable, the honeybee.
Oh no.
Because then we're talking 10 out of 10, but...
Well, one slight shame with that is because they made the remastered version on the 3DS, but that flopped. It really flopped, and I think, honestly, half the reason is people like the original enough that they didn't bother buying the new one. I know I was part of that group.
I mean, the thing is, it was a remake on a console where you can still play the original on. You can, and it was already into the Switch's life cycle when that came out. So it's no wonder people didn't really get it in the end, which is a shame because Alpha Dream are gone now. But
yeah,
hell, if you get the original cheap,
yeah, it is brilliant.
I mean, I think it's obligatory at this point. We have to mention. I don't know how we haven't mentioned it so far. Pokemon. Of course.
Yeah.
I guess we're sort of just collectively the main Pokemon games. I've only played Diamond and Black. I haven't played the Gen 2 remakes or Black 2 and White 2, but these were my first Pokemon games, and I've mentioned before I didn't get massively into Pokemon, but they're fun, they're good Pokemon games. You can probably speak a bit more to them having compared them to the others. How do you find them compared to some of the newer ones, for example?
Well, the list of mainline Pokemon games on the DS was quite a lot. There was Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, Black, White, Black 2, White 2, then Heart Gold and Soul Silver. I have only played out of this slot White 2. I've not played any of the others.
Oh, really?
I've never played
Oh, that's
Diamond or
interesting.
Pearl, and I've never played the Gen 2 remakes either. Yeah.
You never played... Wait, you just played White 2? You didn't play White 1?
No, when I was younger, back when I was playing these Mario games and stuff,
Yeah.
I never played a Pokemon game back then. I didn't get into Pokemon. In fact, actually my first Pokemon game was Pokemon X when that released. Before that, I'd never even touched a Pokemon game before. I didn't know anything about the series. It was just one of those things where I never disliked it, I just didn't know about it, really. I didn't know anything about it.
I'm the same, actually, because there was literally... It was just a thing where no one I knew played Pokemon growing up. It wasn't... I never even really heard of it much, and it wasn't until I became more of a, I guess, in quotation marks, hardcore Nintendo fan, and I started going back and playing some of the rest of the series, that I noticed my friend had Pokemon Diamond, and I was like, it must have been like, if X hadn't came out yet, it nearly came out, but I just like, can I just borrow this from you? And that's when I first tried it. So, yeah, so I'm with you on the same boat then. It's interesting, because I thought you actually grew up with the DS games, so that's interesting.
No, yeah, I didn't get into them properly until X, and then I played White 2 shortly after.
Yeah.
I didn't even know I had it, but I did apparently. And then what was it? So I played White 2, and I really enjoyed that. Like, again, that's one of the best Pokemon games, Black 2, White 2. I'm of that opinion.
Yeah.
I think overall, like, it just really did a good job of expanding on Black and White while adding in the new Pokemon. The new changes were good. It's quite a challenging game. It's one of the hardest ones. There were just a lot of really cool concepts in the game as well, like, I think to do with the music in that bridge area.
Yeah. And
just
like,
one of the best games, enough said, really.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not a huge Pokemon fan, so I can't speak too much on the DS games specific to others, but I will say that it has its sort of charm, the sort of more pixel style, which sort of was lost when they moved over to 3DS. And
the
it
animated
really is...
pixel design was so good, though, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. The way they, like...
Yeah.
Of course, even though it's not like a technical masterpiece, but like the way, particularly in Black and White, when you walk up to the town and it zooms out and you see everything, they did some cool visual stuff with the DS hardware. And it really has a charm to it.
They really
that,
extended it. They did a good
yeah,
job.
It's got a charm that just isn't... Not that the later games look bad, or not even that I necessarily would want the later games to look like this, but it still has its own charm to it, which I quite enjoy, so... I had a good time with them. Even though I played them years later, I had a fun time trying them out.
Yeah, I think it's one of those ones that's just really good to revisit, partly because of its difficulty, but then just... I don't know, it just does a lot of good things right. It just... Again, people say it's one of the best ones for a reason, just because it's phenomenal.
And we can't complain about remakes in this case, because we are getting Diamond and Pearl remakes in a month or two, so...
Yeah, and I guess on that point of speculation, probably, like, I would say maybe 4 or 5 years down the line, we'll be getting potentially Black and White remakes, which is
that
crazy to think about, because Black and White don't feel that old.
No, yeah. That will be quite a big one. I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on them for that one, because people love Black and White, so... I think
that might be like a launch title for maybe the console after the Switch. I don't even know at this point.
I could see it, yeah.
Sure.
I could honestly see it, yeah.
Yeah. There are also other Pokemon games to talk about, though, outside of the mainline ones. Pokemon Ranger. No, I don't know anything about Pokemon Ranger. All I know is on the DS, and it sold decently well.
It was a game.
Yeah, but Pokemon Mystery Dungeon was a big sub-series for Pokemon. You had Red, Blue, Explorers of Time, and Explorers of Darkness, I believe were the 4 on there. I don't have that exactly noted down. But yeah, I believe those were the 4 games on there. I've not played the originals, all I did was play the demo of the remake on the Switch. But,
okay, yeah.
Yeah, but it's a very beloved series, and of course, like, Pokemon is the biggest, the highest grossing franchise of all time, or something like that.
It's probably, at least it's up there.
Yeah, and the Mystery Dungeon series is like a cool little side thing for it. It's one of their strongest side things for the Pokemon series. So
Yeah,
I
there
know
were a
there's
lot
a lot of positive thoughts about that set.
Pokemon like hit its stride in the DS era with so many main games and spin-offs, so it was everywhere.
Yes.
We all saw the like Jedward adverts on TV.
Yeah, of course, the Jed.
Oh, the classics.
Brilliant.
And whilst we're talking about Jedward and just not Jedward, you know, that kind of game that was advertised on TV a lot.
What are we talking about, Jedward?
Whilst we're talking about Jedward, yeah, Kai and I are the new Jedward that's happening. No, but I wanted to quickly mention a very casual game, Cooking Mama.
Yes.
Before it was accused of cryptocurrency mining, but which apparently wasn't even true. But that's just a whole wild story. But that was a very interesting game. That I'll admit is one, and like Nintendogs, it was actually my sister's. But I'm not gonna deny I played it a lot, and it was fun, even if I was scared of messing up a dish because of the fire in her eyes and she turns into like Satan. But
that's great. Yeah,
it was fun,
I remember playing that. It was good. I don't have too many memories with it, but I do definitely remember playing it and chopping onions a lot.
Oh yeah.
Just reminds me of...
I've actually only got one game
honest,
left, Kai, so how much...
Mama,
oh yeah?
I was just thinking, like, when I think Cooking Mama, this is a weird thing, but it does always remind me of Mario Party DS, because there's one mini-game in there where you're cutting a cucumber.
Right.
But anyway, we've already talked about how good that game is. It's brilliant. Anyway.
How many games have you got left, Kai, out of curiosity?
2 to talk about very quickly, and
Alright.
one other, and that's it.
I will let you go for it then, because I've only got one small one left.
Okay, let's talk about the 2 best games on the on the DS. The best ones total. First best game, of course, is Mario Hoops 3-on-3. Who could forget?
I actually did play some of that, yeah.
Oh, I never did. I just thought it was a funny game, so
I didn't own it, but it was funny. I borrowed it from a friend for a little bit.
Yeah, no, I never played it, but I just found it funny because they've got like Cactuar from Final Fantasy in there and that sort of thing. It's a great laugh.
Technically my first experience with Final Fantasy, so there you go.
They're cool. And then the other one is I don't know if you ever played this one, but Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga. I played this on the DS, not as much as on the PlayStation, but I still played it quite a lot. It was quite
I've only played the Wii version, so I didn't. I never tried the DS one.
I can't remember the exact differences, but I just remember playing it on the DS. That was always a laugh. Okay, I only have one left now.
All right. I'll tell you. I'll give you my final one, which is it's a bit of a smaller one, but the Club Penguin DS games. Absolutely quality. Elite Penguin Force. You know, it was. Like, I'm trying to distinguish. I think there's 2 of them, and I can't even remember the difference. But I remember one of them was literally just the missions from Club Penguin, the main console game, but transformed onto the DS with some like extra little bits. And I think the other one was more of a sequel. But again, this is ones that I borrowed from my friend actually and played. But I loved Club Penguin as a kid, and we don't get a much chance to talk about Club Penguin here on the podcast. But the DS games, if you enjoyed it on the console, on the PC, they were just fun adaptations of the Elite Penguin Force story and stuff. You know, you got to take down Herbert. Good times. I kind of feel like playing them. Weirdly, it's like I have a craving for it right now, and I don't know why. But
oh yeah, okay.
If Club Penguin's good stuff. Did you play these at all? I'm guessing not, then, Kai.
No, I didn't even know they existed. Actually, no, I do remember vaguely hearing about them, but I have no knowledge on them.
If Beamer Duck was here, Tom, he would appreciate it, I reckon.
I know he would. You
This
say
is
that
for you,
as if
Tom.
he's dead. He's not dead, by the way.
Not last I checked, no.
Let's just make that clear real quick.
If he was here in this podcast recording...
Oh god, there you go.
Yeah, they were good adaptations anyway, so they were fun. What have you got to end up on, then, Kai?
Well, real quick, I just want to do the obligatory Xenoblade mention. There is no Xenoblade game on the DS.
Well,
okay, now that that's over.
there's Xenosaga.
The Xenosaga, that doesn't count. God, I feel like all the Xenosaga fans are going to come after me and tell me about how bad Zanza is. Is that a spoiler?
Zanza's a character. It's fine.
Anyway, yes, final one is, I've mentioned it a million times before, so I won't dote on it, but the original Inazuma 11 trilogy.
Yes, yeah.
Another level 5 set made around the same time that the original Layton trilogy was made. Of course, same company. Bless you, level 5. I miss you. Please
Now,
come
unlike
back.
Tom, they actually are dead, so you know it's.
Please come back and bring the kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, those ones were the original trilogy was on the DS, and then the Go trilogy, which is like the next set, was on the 3DS. But
Yeah.
the original set is so clean. Like, it just, again, it's got like a sort of not 8-bit style. You know how like you had the transition from Pokemon Black and White 2 to X, like we mentioned, or Gen 5
Yeah.
to Gen 6. They kind of had that crossover, and as a result, a lot of people do like the original design of how like the players are all digital.
Yeah.
But all three of these games were phenomenal, especially the third one. The gameplay was always clean. It's a game, if you didn't know, the game, especially early on, it has a lot of emphasis on being able to recruit any character. There's like over 1,000 characters in the game to recruit and add to your teams. And in the earlier games, all of these players have unique dialogue. They all have like their own descriptions talking about them and everything. And there's over 1,000 of these guys. It's crazy. The games have a lot of hidden secrets that people don't know about. Like, people are still finding secrets to this day. There's a lot of side content. The main content is solid. They really use the touchscreen in an interesting way. I don't feel like we've talked about the touchscreen much now that I think about it.
You know, we haven't because of course we mentioned a bit how some games where it's a bit gimmicky and like some mini games in Rhythm Heaven, but a lot of games used it very naturally, and it did add a lot, you know.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why Inazuma 11 has struggled so much to do anything off of the DS or 3DS, because it's such an integral part of the gameplay. Is on the top screen, you've just got like the score and stuff normally, or any visuals if people use special moves. But then you use the touch screen to drag your players to where you want them to go and that sort of thing. And it's really hard to replicate that on anything that isn't a touch screen. So hopefully they just don't move to iOS like Ni no Kuni did. But overall just like such solid games. I think Inazuma 11 free, I'm not sure about the others, but I know free is on the eShop for like 30 quid.
Yeah.
Such a good purchase. Like, just, solid games.
This is another series after your high recommendations, I need to try out sometime. So once again, if I see an Inazuma game in like CEX, I'll have to pick it up then, because I feel like you might kill me if I don't. So
I think that's the best way to go. Like, even if it's just like a second-hand version or whatever, just if you do happen to see one, even if it's for like a tenner, just pick it up. It's good. It's a really good game. A lot of playtime too. It's not, they're all like minimum 20 hours main story, but I think overall in the original 3 games, I have put like probably 300 hours into them combined.
Ooh.
So yeah, it's great.
To sum it up, DS good.
Yes, DS good is the summary of today.
It is the best-selling Nintendo console for good reason. You know, elements like the touchscreen and the different kinds of games it had, from your Zelda ones to your more casual stuff like Cooking Mama and Animal Crossing and Nintendogs. That's why it ended up being so successful. So I look back on it fondly, and this, like I said, I've been playing through the Layton games. There's still some DS games I can quite happily play now. I think I would struggle more to play like Game Boy Advance games, but the DS games really hold up, and it was just a great console to grow up with.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
But that brings it to the end of our DS retrospective, and in fact, to the end of all of our retrospectives, because if we go any further back, we're babies, so...
I don't have much experience with any other consoles, really, apart from maybe PS3, but that's not, in terms of Nintendo.
And, here's the thing, Kai. This next year we can do a 5-year Switch retrospective, which is bloody crazy, but...
That's insane. Oh,
it's
don't
insane,
say that.
But until then, so we'll see you next March for the next one, but until then, that is it. So thank you so much for watching, and do stay tuned to the podcast for more content. We've got our regular monthly podcast discussions, extra discussions like these, some gameplay videos, and reactions to whenever they announce a Direct, which... You never know with Nintendo, but people think it's going to be soon, so we'll see. But
we'll see.
We'll see. Nintendo likes to keep their cards close to them. So
Yeah.
we'll have a look how that goes. But yeah, so please stay tuned to the channel. We also have audio-only versions of the podcast and discussions on Spotify, if you prefer to listen that way. But just thank you for watching. And Kai, where can people find you at?
They can find me at twitch.tv/Fascarai, and as always, I'm still playing through, I think it's mainly Great Ace Attorney now, Chronicles. We've finished Shrine 2, so anyone who likes that series, the whole 2 people that did, you can go and watch that as VODs if you want. But yeah, I'm on Great Ace Attorney right now. It's a great time. And it's an ace time. And it's an attorney time.
Best of both worlds. So yeah, go check that out. And in the meantime, we'll catch you in the next video. Goodbye.
Bye.